it is one of those things that, despite all of that, in my opinion, it is like the best decision you can make.
Welcome to Life Unleashed,
the podcast all about creating the best life for you and your furry best friend.
If you're a dog mom on the go, juggling life, work, and the endless joys of being a dog parent, then you're in the right place. I'm Dani.
And I'm Nick.
And together with the incredible dog mom community from Tails Up Pup, we're here to share advice, stories, and the obsession we have over the love for our dogs.
Get ready to laugh, learn, and lean on each other because life with your dog just got even more awesome.
Starting off this podcast with a little disclaimer that almost every single episode, I am the one who comes with the ideas because I am a woman. Our demographic is mostly women. And today, Nick is running the show. So
Why are you doing this disclaimer right now? Are you basically just saying, like, if this episode is terrible, it's not my fault?
I think it's going to flow a lot differently because usually I'm the one with all the talking points, and now you're going to be the one who's going to probably be talking more. So I'm just, letting them know, put your seatbelts on. It might not be as organized as...
I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say that Danielle is going to have a lot more to say on these topics than I am. And actually...
But I did not come prepared.
Yeah, I'm honestly not prepared either, Dani. This is
that's on you.
This is just a conversation. Okay, so this whole episode sparked. We were at a baby shower this past weekend, and basically we were the only ones that had a kid, and the only other people there that wanted a kid were the ones that we were there for the baby shower.
Correct.
Everyone else wasn't really
had no desire to have a kid.
Yeah.
Or were unsure about the desire to have a kid.
Well, I would say even this. Either had no desire or was actively like against like I don't know why people have kids type of thing.
But there were also the people who said, I don't know if I would like a kid. And we are all like approximately 31 years old, and that's like prime baby making age. So, and they were saying that they're like, I don't know. And I know that I should know by now. And I think that that's important to state because there are many women listening who are probably similar age. And like, if you don't know, that is clearly very, very normal to not know because everyone at this party was like, I still don't know. And there were main topics that they were talking about. Like they weren't ready to give up their career. And like, I told them like, you don't necessarily have to give up your career, but you do have to think about all the different things because if you don't give up your career, someone has to raise the kid. And she was like, we work a 9 to 5. Her husband and her work a 9 to 5. Then they go to the gym. Then they cook dinner. And now all of a sudden it's 9 o'clock. She's like, when would I see my kid? And if she doesn't want to give up that lifestyle and she wants to see her kid, like you would have to give up one or the other. So that's why they have chosen not to have a kid yet. So I think it's crazy. I was telling Nick that I think more women, if you could get pregnant and have a healthy, normal pregnancy at 40, I think a lot more women would wait because at that age, I feel like you've lived a lot more of your life. You're much more financially stable. But for many women, it's hard to get pregnant, and they do call that a geriatric pregnancy at that point. So most women don't wait till that late. But I think if you could wait, then I feel like more people would probably have kids.
Well, I mean, the other thing, too, that you hear a lot about people that wait to have kids, like, till they're in their 40s is they're like, man, I don't have nearly as much energy as I did when I was in my 30s. And, like, raising kids takes so much energy. Like, I feel like we're both pretty dang fit and have a lot of energy, and Callan tires us out so much.
But the people in our generation, like, if you're trying to buy a house before you have a kid, like, you're not going to have that much money saved up to have a kid. Like, how can you do it all? It's just so different than when our parents were young. It just is.
So getting back to like this conversation of like having a kid, this made me have like, we're going to run this in tandem, I guess. Like the idea of like, we could not imagine our lives not having dogs, right?
Correct.
And so like, they bring so many positive benefits to our life. Like they're a part of our family. And like we pretty much got them as soon as we got married. And I think we will have a dog until the day we die. Probably at least 2 dogs. But like with that mentality, it's like, it reminded me when we were having this conversation, there are people out there that choose, like, they're like, I don't want to have pets. I don't want to have a dog. And so like, it's kind of, I feel like it's a very similar thing. Obviously a kid is more responsibility than a dog, but I feel like this is a very similar conversation that we can have like about the two.
So we are currently planning a trip to the beach, and I think we talked about this recently on the podcast. Nick's parents are taking us to the beach because I'm pretty sure we talked about like we're not going on a vacation. Like we cannot, or we are choosing not to put that into our budget. And so we decided we were not going to go on a vacation, but his parents are taking us. So that is very generous of them. But now our thing was, well, what are we going to do with our dogs? And that's like a main thing that people have to think about. You would have to plan your life around these animals. We have to find a pet sitter or take them somewhere to be boarded, or we bring them on vacation with us. And typically we do. And this house is dog friendly, but we just think it's going to be a lot with a baby and all the stuff. And so we were like, we're going to find someone to pet sit.
Yeah, this is the first year, like every year we've taken our dogs with us to the beach. This is the first time that we were choosing to not take them. And the reason that, at least, I thought about it is like in the morning, that's when Callan's is going to be less hot. And that's when we're going to try to take Callan to the beach. And so that's when we would take the dogs to the beach. And so it just was going to be this thing is like, we can't, and the beach is like, you have to go to a totally different beach for the dog beach. And so I just felt like it was going to be a lot. I mean, Callan's safety.
We wouldn't be taking our dogs to the dog beach that often. So to bring them all the way to the beach just to leave them in that house, we'd rather have someone come and stay here.
Yeah, keep their routine and everything. So
another thing that was big on my mind is that you cannot trust any dog. Like we don't even trust our own dogs. You should never trust any dog with a kid without being there presently watching them, because any dog, even if they're super nice, can snap in an instant, and it's very, very dangerous. So like dogs and babies are my number one fear. And
well, it's equal parts. You can't trust a dog and you can't trust a baby.
Well, mostly you can't trust the baby because the baby's going to go pull their hair and then the dog's going to not like it. But I did not feel comfortable bringing my baby to the dog beach because that just to me seemed way too stressful to have so many of other people's dogs, even though they're supposed to be leashed, and like people just don't follow rules, and that was just gonna be more stressful. So this is just the right thing for us. But anyways, enough about why we're not bringing our dogs to the beach. It's that you have to plan your life around them now. And if you enjoy going out like on the weekends and like hanging out with your friends, like all of a sudden you have to live your life around making sure your dog has played enough, had enough entertainment, got fed dinner at the right time, got to go out to the bathroom, all those things. So like that's probably a main reason that people do not have dogs.
Yeah, I mean, I think every person is different, but yeah, I think it ultimately comes down to, and this is again like the tandem with the kids, like you get into this like as you become an adult, like you get into your routine, and then like you kind of build your perfect life as much as it can be perfect, and then you don't want to inconvenience that. Mm-hmm. So like a dog is going to be an inconvenience a lot of the time for people, but it's so funny, like the different mentalities between like we clearly choose that like the inconveniences that the dogs bring to us are way, like the pros way outweigh the cons.
I think for the most part, it just depends on your lifestyle. For us, we spend more of our time at home than we do anywhere else. And so we choose what we like. Like that's why we wanted a certain layout in our house. That's why we wanted a certain yard. It's like, if we are spending the most time there, we want it to be the way that we want it to be. And that for us is also having the presence of dogs. If we spent more of our time out of the home, we probably would be okay with having a smaller home or not the perfect layout. And we would rather have that money to be spent doing other things. But for us, we spend so much time at home that was more important to us. So if you spend most of your time, like we were saying about this specific couple, like they spend all their day at work, then they go to the gym. So they're home for a few hours a day, not including the sleep. Like that would be a totally different, lifestyle with dogs.
And it's interesting. They do have a dog.
They do.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're fine with that. But like, obviously a kid, like we said, is more responsibility. And that's something where they're
and
like,
their dog is older, not as energetic and all of those things. Like I don't feel like I could responsibly leave Holly for, like with a commute 8 to 6. She is just so high energy. She needs a lot of attention. She needs to play and have her job. And like that specific breed would not do well at home all day by themselves.
It's also interesting. I think there's other reasons. Like I know people that have like a cat, and they're like, they don't want to get a dog, or some people like, and maybe this is you listening, like you're like, I don't want to have a kid because like I don't want my dogs to lose the attention. That's going to happen. So like, that's why you're choosing not to do it.
Yeah.
That could be, I definitely know like there are people like with the cat situation.
We haven't talked about the biggest reason though. Money.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. Like
animals are expensive.
Animals are expensive. Kids are even more expensive. And I think that was one of the biggest things, like when we were having this conversation with people at the baby shower, is like, everybody's like, well, how much, like, I'm not ready for the bills that are going to come with the baby. And that, I mean, that's a certain reality. And I would say that, like, what I told them was that, like, Callan has been overall less expensive than I thought he was going to be. Now, a big caveat here. We have been very, very lucky, and we have gotten a lot of hand-me-downs.
Yes, it would have been a lot more expensive without all the hand-me-downs. We have barely had to buy any toy and any piece of clothing.
Yes, but there are plenty of ways. I mean, you know, a lot of our friends that we know, like there's good ways to get a lot of cheap stuff, and I think a lot of that comes down to like you as a parent. Like, are you the parent that's like they have to have 1,000 toys? Yeah, well, if you feel that way. Yeah, it's going to get really expensive versus like having overall less toys, getting them for cheap.
So I have been treating Callan like I treat the dogs with their toys. We have many toys, but we don't put all of the toys down at the same time. And I do a toy rotation, and I am a full believer that this enhances their playtime so much because every week I'll take away something and give them something else. And it's not a new toy. It's an old toy that they haven't seen in a week or 2 or 3. And so it brings them joy again. And then Callan gets to play with a new toy that he hasn't seen in a while. Like in the beginning, I would just put all the toys down for him because I was like, you know, we have all these toys. He should get to play with them.
And let him pick what he wants.
And he would get overwhelmed with all his choices. He would throw all the toys on the ground, make a mess, and then he wouldn't want to play with anything. But now that I'm putting like 4 or 5 toys out and the rest I put in the closet, he plays so well independently. So I think that has a big thing to do with it. And also, like, he's not just throwing something and leaving it and going on to the next. Like, he's actually learning. And it probably does have to do with age. But he overall, like, is enjoying playing with a specific toy more. And I had learned that from the dog, so I decided to implement that with the baby, and it has worked really well.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about like turning this on its head. I think it is like kids, dogs, applies to both. It is a little counterintuitive because there are 100% a lot of reasons. We talked about a lot of them now. The financial reasons. It's just going to like make your life more difficult in a lot of ways. You're going to have to sacrifice freedom, time, kids, lots of sleep, all of this stuff. And it's like, you think about that, you're like, why would anyone in their right, why would a sane person do that? Like, you don't have to, right? But it is one of those things that despite all of that, in my opinion, it is like the best decision you can make. It has like enhanced our life. Dogs have enhanced our life in so many ways, and Callan has enhanced our life in even more ways, despite all the hard stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is a very I feel like there's not many things in life that are like that per se. But like on paper, you would think the cons list outweighs the pros. Like it does outweigh the pros. Mm-hmm. But there's something like intangible about it that you're like, I would do that again 100 times over.
I'm literally obsessed with all 3 of our children, the fur children and the baby. So my heart like is instantly like, how could anyone not want to have a kid, or not anyone? How would people not want to have a dog? But my brain is very much a realist. Some people really hate that about me because they'll be like, ooh, do you like this? And I'm like, I'm just going to be real. Like that's not like logical or whatever. My logical brain understands what, and I was telling these people at the baby shower, I'm like, if your reasoning is legitimate, don't have a kid. Like, it is a lot of money or it is a lot of work. Like, I totally understand it. I think for us, we have the perfect situation. If you do not have help, it would be so hard even to be a pet parent, but specifically a human parent. It is so much work, and you are going to need a break, whether it be so that you can take a shower, so that you can get changed, so you can make breakfast, whatever it is. If you do not have help, it will be so hard. And it doesn't have to be from a partner. It could be from parents. It could be hiring a nanny. It could be any way that you would like to get help. But for us, like, we are such a good team, and that allows us to thrive and allows us to enjoy our experience so much more than someone who would not have help.
Yes, and the caveat to everything, I'm not trying to convince you to have a kid or to get a dog if you don't have a dog.
Yeah,
although
I didn't feel that way.
No, but I think everyone's decisions are personal. I'm sharing our personal experience with it, and maybe that will, make you think about it in a different way, because what Danielle is saying is so true. And that's, you said it better. It's like, it's not logical. Like, if you actually think about it, like having kids or like even having a dog, like it's not really the logical thing. In almost every way, it makes your life harder. Right?
It definitely makes your life harder, but it also makes your life happier.
It makes your life happier
for us.
And if that's what I was saying, the caveat. Like, I'm not trying to say like it would be that for you, and I don't want it to come across as that way, but for us, like, it has made our life happier. And honestly, it's made my life feel like it has a lot more purpose to it. Like, and it's crazy. I didn't expect that, like with a kid, that I would feel like my life had more purpose, but like I really do feel happier and like living a more purpose-driven life.
I do feel like most people say this, so I don't want to be like a broken record, but it gets so much better as the baby grows up. Like, I actually did enjoy the newborn phase, but it is so fun now. He's 10 months. He is so much fun. But I think the reason that you feel happy and fulfilled is because at this age, we are seeing how not only curious he is, but how he can retain things. Like, he is learning. He like is learning. If you clap, he claps, like mimicking. He's saying dada. Like, that really fulfilled your heart and was so cool that you were trying to get him to say dad for so long.
Wait, we have to take a second and tell this tiny little story. Okay. So Callan pooped, and Danielle was like,
Nick basically never changes the diaper. That's just the way it is. It's not a bad thing. That's just the way it is.
I probably change one a day on average.
Out of like 570 million.
No, he probably does like 6 or 7 a day, and I probably change one of them.
No, I would disagree strong on that.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's just the way that our duties are split up, and I'm fine to change
the duties.
The duty. Yeah. So specifically, Nick rarely changes the poop diapers. He just can't smell them, and apparently
that is not why I don't change. No.
Yeah, it's whatever. Anyways, we were in the same place at the same time. We were all playing together as a family, and Callan did poop, and then of course Nick is like, continue on with your story.
Yeah, no, he pooped, whatever, and Danielle and I like kind of look at each other, and Danielle goes, Callan, who do you want to change your diaper? And Callan goes, Dada. And I literally almost melted.
He has never been so happy to change a diaper.
I was so happy. And honestly, I stayed there for another 2 minutes to let Danielle kept saying, Callan, who do you want to change your diaper? And he'd be, Dada. And it was the cutest thing. And I changed that diaper with so much joy. It was the best diaper change ever. So I just had to tell you guys that story because that was so cute.
The milestones, like that, I don't know, is it the CDC, whoever, the pediatricians, whoever puts it out there, it's so interesting because like a month ago, I was reading something that said at 10 months, like, if you say, where's your ball? Do they know where the ball is? Or if you say, where's mama? Do they know where mama is? And I'm like, oh, there's no way that my kid is going to know that in a month. Like, he literally has no idea. But now here we are, and it is so crazy. If you say, where's mama? He looks for me.
He turns and looks for Dani.
And it's so cool. Like, those moments are so cool because we taught him that. Like, yeah. It's so cool to see, like, your hard work paying off.
Yes. And so, where was I? Yeah. Like, this purpose-driven, fulfilled life. And that is just something that, like, I didn't, like, expect, or at least to the level that it's happened. It's kind of like, this is a very bad analogy, and I always use like the working out analogies, but it's like, working out is one of those things that, like, on paper, is not fun. Like, you go in there, you suffer, you're breathing hard, your muscles hurt, all this type of stuff. But overall, like, most of the time, you feel better after you did it. And like, in the long term, if you do it over and over and over again, like, it pays off. It's like a kid is kind of like that in a weird way. It's like, it's all this hard work, all these things, but at the end of it, you're like, this is worth it,
Yeah, for sure.
And I do feel that it's been the exact same way with the dogs. It really has. Like, as much as, oh my gosh, like the other day, like, this is one thing too that you'll notice when you have kids, like, certain things about your dogs that used to annoy you will really start to annoy you. And like, I don't know what it is, but like, as soon as like something's going on with Callan or whatever, like, one of the girls like throws up or does something that you're just like, you never do that. Why does that happen now? Whatever.
At the most inconvenient time.
The most inconvenient time. And so like, that happened the other day, but like, occasionally, like, we just have that moment where, like, we still, like, I'm so happy that we have them. We just, like, every morning Danielle goes through this exact same cycle. It's like she sees the girls and she's like, oh my gosh, I just love you so much. And she snugs each one of the girls.
Everyone gets their individual snuggle time with mom.
Yeah. And then, that's before Callan's up, and then Callan gets his, and it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it's led to you living a more happy life.
Yes.
As well as me.
And literally everyone, when they come and like ask us about parenthood and that stuff, they're always like, how are the dogs doing with the baby? And I'm like, it is so cute. If you follow me and watch the stories, like I post, Gracie will come and wake Callan up. Like, she is choosing to do that. Sometimes in the videos you are seeing me say, like, come on, Grace, but most of the time she's just coming in there. Like, she didn't have to go in there, she did not have to check on him, but she willingly wanted to, and she was excited to. And I think that shows that she loves her brother so much.
And you should see, like, in the beginning, she did not love him, like, climbing on her and stuff. Now she's pretty much letting him, like, climb all over her. Like, he doesn't pet the most gentle, but, like, she allows it.
And if,
like,
she doesn't, then she just gets up and walks away.
Yeah, she does. And, like, we're right. I mean, this again, like, to what Danielle's point is, like, don't really trust your dog because you don't know what that baby's gonna do. So we're right there. But, like, she's been so good with him.
Yeah.
So that's been fun to see.
And Holly has been very nice. She shares her toys with Callan, and she does not, she's a good sharer. So that's very nice.
Callan's getting to the point I think he's going to be able to start throwing soon for her.
She'll bring the toy. Holly will bring the toy back because I'll throw it. She'll bring it back. She'll let Callan have it and see if he's going to throw it. But he won't throw it yet, but I think it's coming soon.
Well, this was what I had for today. I thought it was a very interesting topic based on a conversation that we had at that baby shower.
It was. I liked it. Very good job running the show, taking the lead, and I think this could be your podcast now.
No, I'm definitely not going to take over, but yeah, I highly encourage you, having kids, having dogs if you don't have one. If you're listening to this podcast and you don't have a dog, I would be surprised. But if you're not, like, both of these things for us have been very positive things in our life, if you can't tell.
I've gotten quite a few messages in our time saying, I love following you guys, but I don't have a dog. And I'm always, like, shocked by it, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Don't get a dog. Don't have a kid if you're not ready. But it has been great for us, and I highly encourage everybody to do it if they're interested.
See you guys next time. Bye.